I'm gonna retire from boxing before I let boxing retire me.
That I'm not comfortable with. You know, I had a great career. You know, I've done some tremendous things in the sport of boxing. I made a lot of history. You know, what can I not be proud of if I walked away from the sport right now? You know, I don't have no regrets because everything that I did it my way. So if I was to walk away from the sport right now.
Terence "Bud" Crawford has officially walked away from boxing. After months of tension, lawsuits, and public feuds with the WBC, the undefeated and undisputed pound-for-pound king has stepped away from the sport that turned him into a global legend.
Retire, Bud. Retire, Bud. It's over. You ain't got nothing else to prove. Let's go fishing, Bud. Let's go fishing, Bud. Retire. Yeah. It's over with. I won.
The same man who dominated 3 weight divisions, unified titles, and carried himself with quiet confidence is now done. Gone, retired, stripped of his title, accused of breaking contracts, and called out by legends. Crawford says the sport he gave everything to, the one he bled for, has finally broken him. So what really happened behind the scenes? What pushed one of the greatest fighters of this generation to drop his gloves, not in defeat, but in defiance? Let's break down the real story behind Terence Crawford's shocking exit, a tale of betrayal, power, and principle that has shaken the boxing world.
I always said that I'm gonna retire on my own terms, and I'm gonna feel good because everything that I did it my way.
It all began with one stunning announcement. On December 3rd, 2025, the WBC officially stripped Terence "Bud" Crawford of his super middleweight world title, a decision that sent shockwaves through boxing. Their reasoning was simple. Crawford refused to pay sanctioning fees for his last 2 fights, including his blockbuster $50 million showdown with Canelo Álvarez.
He never paid the sanction fees for that fight. His next fight was Canelo Álvarez. He fought for the WBC title, as well as the other 3 organizations, and he won the WBC title and the undisputed. He became undisputed, and he did not pay the sanction fees for the fight.
Just like that, the man who conquered the sport lost his crown. His undisputed status vanished. His title was revoked. His relationship with the WBC was shattered beyond repair. But as dramatic as it sounds, insiders insist this wasn't a sudden collapse.
He did not comply with the rules. Then he moves up to super middle and makes the fight of the century, beats Canelo, makes $50 million or around that. The WBC absolutely is not going to charge 3% of such an amount. We made a very clear 0.6%, which is $300,000.
Behind the headlines, Crawford's frustration had been building for years, simmering through broken promises, shady politics, and sport that often punishes the very fighters who make it thrive. Crawford wasn't just battling opponents in the ring anymore. He was battling the system itself. Even before the WBC drama exploded, Crawford was already knee-deep in another fight, this one in court. A lawsuit that placed him against one of boxing's most powerful figures, promoter Bob Arum, and his company Top Rank. In the explosive filing, Crawford accused Arum of breach of contract, fraud, and racial bias.
I wanted to give a real quick snippet of what I just found out. So Terence "Bud" Crawford just filed a lawsuit against Top Rank and Bob Arum, claiming racism and bias against black fighters.
According to Crawford, Top Rank promised to secure a unification bout with Errol Spence Jr., a fight fans had demanded for years, but failed to deliver. Crawford claimed that in 2019, an agreement stated that if Arum did not make a good faith offer to Spence by the end of 2020, Crawford would be paid $900,000. That payment, he says, never arrived. Instead, he was left stuck, frozen out of the biggest fight of his career. While Arum allegedly focused on other stars, Crawford dropped a bombshell accusation, claiming Arum continued to make racist and bigoted remarks that damaged the reputations of black fighters, including himself.
Terence Crawford is actually asking for $10 million in damages. He's basically stating that none of the fighters want to speak up, they don't want to say anything.
Arum fired back aggressively, labeling the lawsuit reckless and baseless. Crawford's accusations are vile, he said. I've spent my career promoting fighters of color. This lawsuit is a malicious extortion attempt. The legal battle marked the beginning of the end, a clear line drawn between fighter and promoter. Crawford soon left Top Rank, vowing to go independent and build his legacy on his own terms. But instead of freedom, he walked straight into another storm when the WBC stripped him of his title. Crawford didn't stay quiet. He went nuclear.
Sanction fees, right? Then he gonna tell me I ain't even apologize? Like, who the fuck you think I am? Boy, you better slap your fucking self. Ain't paying your ass shit.
In a viral video that rocked social media, Crawford torched the WBC, calling their belts meaningless trophies and accusing the organization of greed. His words were raw, emotional, and fueled by years of bottled-up resentment. You got the green belt, which don't mean nothing. The real belt is the ring belt. You can take that belt. It's just a trophy anyway. That single statement sent shockwaves through the boxing community.
You, the WBC, and you got the fucking green belt, which don't mean fucking shit. The fucking real belt is the ring belt, which is free, motherfucker. What are you talking about? You want me to pay you more than the other sanctioned bodies because you feel like you better than them. How in the world all the sanctioned bodies agreed to the same amount, but you sit your motherfucking ass up there and say that I need to apologize to you?
Some fans praised him as a hero finally exposing boxing's hypocrisy. Others saw it as a meltdown, a legend damaging his own legacy. Even Errol Spence Jr., Crawford's longtime rival, felt compelled to weigh in.
I mean, it makes sense, but I mean, I think he should have talked about it, you know, before, because now he's talking about it when he don't need the WBC anymore. And he should have talked about it, you know, way back when I said something, he should have spoke up and said something about it too, you know, so I don't know, man. It is what it is.
Makes sense, Spence said. But now he's talking when he doesn't need the WBC anymore. He should have said this when it mattered. To some, Crawford sounded bitter. To others, he sounded free. But one thing was clear, he was no longer playing by boxing's rules. Then came the next generation. Rising star Keyshawn Davis didn't hesitate to defend Crawford.
He said, I never understand why we become champion have to pay for a belt. Keep that shit. Yeah. Keep it. I'm not gonna work 14, 15 years for me to pay for something I worked for. When I went to the Olympics, did I pay for that damn medal? No.
Echoing what many fighters have whispered for years, Davis spoke bluntly. I never understood why we become champion and have to pay for a belt, he said. Keep that. When I went to the Olympics, did I pay for that medal? No. So keep the belt. I agree with Terence. Davis's comments struck a nerve across the sport, calling out the hypocrisy of fighters grinding for years only to be charged for what they earned.
If I walk into this arena without this belt, is these people still gonna show up? Yes. So keep the belt. You're not gonna take my money. With all due respect, you know what I'm saying? I just feel like, so I agree with Terence, you know what I'm saying? But I just don't agree with paying for belts. That's why, for all the sanctioning bodies, you know what I'm saying? And I told this to the one that I was under, the WBO. I told him to, I said, I don't really believe in that. Right. And he explained why. And I was like, okay, but I still don't agree with it. You know what I mean? So, like, I'm always going to be, like, for not paying for belts. Because what the fuck are we paying them?
He said what so many others were afraid to say. If I walk into the arena without the belt, people are still going to show up. So why should I pay for it? For younger fighters, Crawford wasn't quitting, he was standing up. He was doing what no one else dared to do, challenging boxing's sacred institutions head-on. But the establishment wasn't going to accept that quietly. WBC President Mauricio Suleiman responded diplomatically, though the tension was obvious.
With $225,000 going to the Jose Sulaiman Boxers Fund, which is to help former fighters in need. And it is just regrettable, not even a thank you or I'm sorry, taking a different route, no response. I wish him the best. But this is not. The WBC is huge, it's great, it's about greatness, and I'm relieved, to tell you the truth.
I'm not going to entertain or get into a pissing contest with Terence Crawford, Suleiman told reporters. We care for boxers. We wish him success in and out of the ring. He explained that sanctioning fees weren't about greed, claiming they funded the Jose Sulaiman Boxers Fund, which supports retired and struggling fighters. Still, many fans weren't convinced. Veteran ring announcer Jimmy Lennon Jr. called the situation ugly and unfortunate.
I think, like Mauricio, I'm going to take a high road, but I will say it's unfortunate for the sport of boxing. I think talking about money too much, and it is not the high road. And so we've seen some kind of ugly and not so pretty things, exchanges happen here. And so it's unfortunate, but it is a reality. I think there's some things behind the scenes that I have heard about that aren't necessarily public yet.
Talking about money too much is never the high road, Lennon said, noting that this kind of ugliness has always existed behind the scenes. It's just sad to see it spill into public view. Beneath the calm statements and polished interviews, there was genuine fear that Crawford's rebellion could inspire others. Then came the wild card, rapper Cameron, who dropped a take that exploded across sports media.
Listen, to be honest with you, he brought a lot of light that I didn't know about when it came to the sanctioning fees. And it seems like one big extortion game. I've seen Floyd say it before, belts collect dust, the money is what really matters. So as long as he gets his money and everything else, I think we already know he's a perennial world champion, probably the pound-for-pound champion right now.
Cameron didn't hold back. He brought light to something I didn't even know, he said. These sanctioning fees are one big extortion game. Floyd said it years ago. Belts collect dust, money matters. To Cam, Crawford wasn't crazy, he was courageous. He reminded fans that Crawford is 42-0, one of the greatest ever, and no sanctioning body can erase that. Crawford's still pound-for-pound king, he said. He just exposed the system. His comments spread rapidly across social media, talk shows, and boxing podcasts.
If you look at how this thing's playing out, first of all, let me say this. I love that all these guys, all these boxing guys, love the Ali Act the way it is now. I want to see how many of them actually stay there and do that version of the Ali Act instead of the add-on that we're going to do.
For the first time in decades, fans weren't just questioning fighters, they were questioning the institutions. And amid all the noise, someone from outside boxing stepped in with a blunt reality check. UFC President Dana White.
You know what I mean? You don't have to be a fucking rocket scientist to see what's going on with all these guys. They're all these guys that are crying the loudest are the fucking problems. They're the problem, every one of these guys.
Dana White never stays silent for long. He weighed in with brutal honesty. You don't need to be a rocket scientist to see what's going on, he said. The people crying the loudest are the problem. Crawford's his own man, doing his own thing. We'll see how it plays out. White's words hit hard, not because they were shocking, but because they felt true. He warned that boxing's obsession with politics, fees, and power games would drive stars away, and now it had.
Whether it took me however many years to get to the point where I'm at, I did it my way. You know, a lot of people can't say that. A lot of people can criticize me and say, oh.
Terence Crawford's decision to walk away marks the end of one of the most remarkable careers in modern boxing. A 3-division world champion, undisputed at welterweight, undefeated in 42 professional fights, a technician, a silent assassin, a master of discipline. Now he steps away on his own terms. Not because he lost, not because he faded, but because he'd had enough. For fans, it's heartbreak. For Crawford, it's freedom. As one insider said, they can take the belt, they can take the license, but they can never take what he built.
Terence Crawford's right. And it's rich as from the WBC, because if they upheld all their rules in their little manifesto, if they upheld them all the time, on time, then, do you know something? They might get a bit of sympathy from me here. When you have guys holding #1 positions in weight divisions.
Whether this retirement is permanent or temporary, one thing is undeniable. Terence Crawford has forced boxing to confront a truth it ignored for too long. Fighters are the soul of the sport. And when they start walking away, the empire begins to crumble. So what do you think? Did Terence Crawford really quit for good? Or is this his way of reclaiming power from an establishment that tried to control him? Drop your thoughts below, and don't forget to subscribe, because if this truly is the end of Terence Bud Crawford's career, it's a chapter boxing we'll never forget. Until next time.